caught an attack against South Korea.
I wonder who it could be. Let's go check it out.
This is the Seoul Metropolitan Office of Education. It manages the data for nearly 1 million students and teachers in South Korea's capital. When someone goes after a target like this, you might assume one thing: North Korea, maybe specifically Kimsuky, Pyongyang's elite hacking unit. I got excited. You see, I spent a lot of time dissecting English language attacks from around the world and struggling through some Russian slang sometimes.
You mean Fenya?
It's easy now with AI, but years before we even had Google Translate, I was trying to figure out words like this.
Why does she have a crowbar?
I wanted to step outside of my bubble and get an understanding of what attacks look like in the other half of the world. Kimsuky is notorious for targeting places like Seoul National University using phishing, that is QR code phishing, and dropping custom malware like Appleseed. So when this phishing campaign popped up with a fake portal for the Office of Education, I was ready for a complex fight. I expected encrypted traffic, obfuscated payloads. I did not get any of that, but I got a good reminder in the fundamentals of intelligence analysis and cybercrime. I wanted to share it because I know a lot of security analysts don't really have structured analysis training, and I think that's unfortunate. I put together a little roundtable discussion on exactly that at a DEF CON village once, but I didn't propose a solution. So maybe this will be just a little piece of a solution. We're going to run through analysis of the kit and true attribution of this phishing operator. I'll pull up the link from one of the samples. This website is rather busy, a lot going on here. We can see it as imitating sen.go.kr. I'm going to pull that site up in a new window and translate it just so we can get a better understanding of what we're looking at and what the real target really looks like. Seoul Metropolitan Office of Education. We know this is the target of this particular sample, so I want to know more about this kit. Is it showing me Korean simply because this target is Korean, or is it a kit developed specifically for an attack against South Korea? Look at the URL. I recognize the string at the end as a base64 encoded string. Most phishing kits expect either an email address passed as a parameter at the end of the URL or a base64 representation of the email address. They can function without it, but it gets them additional information if they have it. This allows it to customize the page the visitor sees. To what extent? That depends on the kit. But we can test this by putting a different address there and seeing what we get. I'll use CyberChef to first confirm that it's a base64 parameter by decoding that string from base64. Yes, it is. We see the target email address in the output. And then I'll choose a new target by encoding a new email address in base64 and getting that base64 output from CyberChef, constructing a new link. Now we have a link with the target as gates@microsoft.com. Loading that link, we see the page changes. The background is now the Microsoft homepage. The email address shown in the pop-up is our new target. The address in the lower left is updated to say Microsoft, and the title at the top has changed to say Microsoft. However, we still see Korean language in several places. This tells me that this is a kit with Korean hard-coded.
You have the entire world at your fingertips, and you're stuck here in the Hermit Kingdom. How do you like your dear leader anyway?
Well, I certainly cannot complain.
So watch what happens when we fall for the phishing attack. We see a send message go out with the script next.js. Okay, that's cool. That's the Telegram API, and that is a bot token. That's what we love to see. This gives us a whole lot when we can extract a bot token. Good OBSEC would be for the front end to reach out to a PHP script or something similar on the back end and keep the bot token on the back end. They put the bot token on the front end that's basically giving us their bot. We'll pull up that next.js script and take a look at it directly. There are those hard-coded Korean sections, and here's the iframe. This part is what's loading the target site in the background behind the pop-up. Now I realize these red boxes are a bit annoying and might seem kind of silly, and there's way more than enough info for you to identify this individual if you really felt like it. I mean, a lot of viewers probably know how to go from a photograph through to a background check and credit report if they felt like it. But I just prefer not to blatantly put names and contact information out there if they haven't already been charged by the feds or in the news or something like that. This episode actually sat on the back burner for a while because this analysis wasn't originally intended for YouTube when I was trying to decide what parts I could show. There's a cut and paste section for the bot token and chat ID. This is what we want. It's even better. Look at that. That message also sends user agent. That's interesting because that way the operator could tell, or a script on the back end could tell, if it's a curl request from some type of scanner or researcher, or if it was a legitimate browser that the target would be using. There's a lot we can do with that token, but we are after attribution. The first Telegram API endpoint we'll hit is get me. This gives us the name of the bot and some of its capabilities. We see that it cannot read group messages. Disappointing, but that's what we usually expect. We can check get updates. This would store anything that was sent to the bot recently. This is empty, and that tells us that the operator is likely continuously polling the bot and grabs the new phishing data as soon as it comes in, which empties that cache. So it's empty when we look at it unless we check before the operator. Because we found the chat ID in the script, we can also hit the get chat endpoint. This is great. We got exactly what we could have hoped for here. If we didn't get anything useful, we could have also hit get webhook info, and that would tell us the URL of the webhook the stolen credentials are being sent to. There are plenty of other commands in the Telegram documentation, but what we got here is very good. The operator is simply interacting with the bot using their personal Telegram account with their name on it and a bio. My fear of being unsuccessful is even bigger than my fear of dying. This sort of wording sounds a lot like other operators that I've looked at, phishing operators. So I'm not thinking this is a North Korean operator necessarily at this point. But we have that name, that handle that looks like it might be simply a legal name. We have that name from the account. We can do some open source intelligence on that, see what we can find. The same exact username brings up one each of Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok profiles. And those are each clearly of the same individual in Lagos, Nigeria. So the North Korean APT targeting the Seoul Education Office is actually a young dude in Lagos using a commodity phishing kit customized with a bit of Korean. Here he is, looking relaxed at a gas station. But look at the SUV he's leaning on. Look at the plate. That's a Nigerian police force vehicle. I think there's a chance he's posing with law enforcement vehicles for irony while running a cozy little multinational criminal operation. Or maybe he just likes Mercedes. We have an actor attacking the South Korean government, a target often associated with geopolitical espionage. This investigation demonstrates a valuable lesson about attribution. If I had just looked at the target, the temptation is to say North Korea. But by following the human trail, following that chain, the OPSEC failures, the Telegram token, the Facebook handle, the Instagram, just because the target is in South Korea doesn't mean the hacker is in North Korea. It's the professor versus trucker problem from statistics class. Without being given any other information, you ask someone if an essay came from a trucker or an English professor. You often get the answer, English professor. English professors represent essays in our minds, but that's ignoring the base rate. There are 100 times as many truckers as English professors. The starting point, without any other information, should be trucker. In our minds, North Korea often represents hacking South Korea. But if cybercrime were a country, it would have the third largest economy in the world, 300 times the size of North Korea's. My starting point should have been cybercrime.
That's a beautiful story you've got there, boss. Ship that to Netflix and show me the analysis.
Oh, you're talking about alternative analysis. Or, depending on where you studied, structured analytic techniques.
Come on, you know this. You have a Richards Hewer signed first edition on your bookshelf.
In the world of intelligence, the biggest enemy isn't the attacker. It's our own brain. We are hardwired to pick a favorite theory and then cherry pick evidence to support it. That's called confirmation bias. To strip that away, analysts use a method called the analysis of competing hypotheses. The basic idea is simple. You don't try to prove your theory is right. You try to disprove the alternatives. We have two competing hypotheses for who is behind this keyboard. Hypothesis 1, this is a North Korean state actor. Hypothesis 2, this is a Nigerian financial actor. Now we list our evidence down the side. We don't rate which one fits best. We rate them on consistency and inconsistency. Evidence item 1, the targets. Seoul Education Office and Seoul Natural Gas Company. North Korea hits these for espionage. Nigeria hits these for invoice fraud. Both fit. That means this item has a low diagnostic value. Really tells us nothing. Item 2, the language barrier, using a kit. Nigerian scammers often don't speak Korean, but North Korean hackers also use pre-made kits to hide their signature. Both are plausible. Still a tie. The attacker was working early morning in Nigeria to hit business hours in Seoul, but here's the trap. That evidence once again has low diagnostic value. It fit the Nigerian theory, but it also fits the North Korean theory. Here's where the matrix starts to tilt. This bio quote is hustle culture. It's hyper-individualistic. It's not impossible for a North Korean to write this, but it's inconsistent with a regime that prioritizes the state over the individual. Advantage, Nigeria. It's not proof. We need a piece of evidence that's highly inconsistent with one side, a disqualifier. This bio has good diagnostic value. It matches the Nigerian hypothesis, and it definitely doesn't match the North Korean culture. But it poses another possible hypothesis. North Korean using compromised Nigerian account. North Koreans do use compromised accounts for a lot of operations, not typically Nigerian accounts, but it's a hypothesis that we have to consider. We need evidence with diagnostic value, so we'll apply two stimuli. One aimed at ego, which we expect to differentiate North Korean versus Nigerian operators. I own the Seoul Gateway, you're loud. This is an insult to the operator's skills. A disciplined intelligence officer would go dark immediately. At the very least, stop responding, block me, maybe burn the infrastructure and vanish. But a scammer, there's ego at play, an insult to skills he has to reply to, and one aimed at operational methods, which we know will differentiate North Korean versus Nigerian operators. A proposal that could be profitable for the operator. Nigerians do work with different people and they take different roles in scams and often make deals like this. For a North Korean state actor, state intelligence officers do not launder fiat currency for strangers on Telegram. It violates operational security. It's just not the business model. Sure, they hack banks, but the banks themselves, the infrastructure, they don't handle invoice fraud. This risks exposure, and it offers zero intelligence value. We got a reply to both stimuli, which is honestly better than I expected. They pushed back on the ego hit and then offered to work together. We've got our differentiator and we have our hypothesis. This is the power of ACH. We didn't just guess it was Nigeria. In fact, we guessed it was North Korea and proved ourselves wrong.
I'll miss the petrol clams, but I love a good suya.
All right, Locke, episode's a wrap. We got a bank drop lined up. Now let's get this bag.
What? Never lose sight of the golden rules. Do not become a victim and do not become a perpetrator.
the surface.